Tributes are coming in this morning for much-loved Friends actor Matthew Perry, whose death at 54 has sent shockwaves right across the globe. Former colleagues and Hollywood stars paying their respects to a sweet, troubled soul whose famous character has delighted audiences long after the lights went out at Central Perk.
His snappy one-liners and dry wit were beloved by a generation and made him a household name.
I'm Chandler. I make jokes when I'm uncomfortable.
For 10 years, Matthew Perry made people laugh as the sarcastic but lovable Chandler Bing.
I don't like guys with boring jobs.
Oh, and Ross was like what, a lion tamer?
Now an outpouring of love from former co-stars.
Hey, you know who used to have nails like that?
Oh my God!
Including Maggie Wheeler, who played Chandler's loud ex-girlfriend Janice, saying the joy he brought to many will live on. His on-screen mother, Morgan Fairchild, heartbroken about the timely death of her son. His unique charm left many who didn't know the actor personally feeling like they did.
I went to that tanning place your wife suggested.
Was that place The Sun?
Music superstar Adele pausing her Las Vegas show to remember Perry.
This was really the part of my life when he was so open with his struggles with addiction and sobriety, which I think is incredibly brave.
His struggle with addiction to drugs and alcohol was hidden from public view for decades until he wrote about it in his memoir, released just last year.
I would show up blindly hungover, like shaking and crazy hungover.
A story that touched many, including actress Viola Davis, who said it shifted those close to her heart. Paget Brewster, who played another love interest on Friends, saying it was his legacy to help. The star's parents and stepfather arriving at his LA home hours after the news broke of his passing. Police sources say no drugs were found at the scene and there didn't appear to be any signs of foul play. His body has now been removed from the residence, with the coroner set to begin an investigation.
Let's go live to Tim Lester, who's at Warner Brothers Studios at Burbank in Los Angeles this morning. Tim, Matthew Perry's death has really rocked the entertainment industry.
Completely, and perhaps a few more so than the Warner Brothers community behind me at Burbank here in California. Of course, guys, it was set in New York, but it's here in Los Angeles in Studio 5 in the Burbank lot behind me, where they shot those 10 years of Friends episodes. Warner Brothers saying they are devastated by the passing of Matthew Perry, and they called him an incredibly gifted actor and an indelible part of the Warner Brothers community. So reflecting the kind of sadness more generally felt and shock by the death of the 54-year-old. There will be a coroner's investigation into his passing. As Nat said earlier, there were no drugs found in the immediate vicinity, but we learned today from the New York Times that apparently there were prescription medications recovered from the scene, and for that reason toxicology will be a part of the LA County Coroner's investigation into the death of Matthew Perry. But more generally, across Hollywood today, sadness and shock at the 54-year-old's passing. Guys?
OK, thank you, Tim. Top story, and tributes continue to flow for Matthew Perry after the sitcom star was found dead at his LA home. The 54-year-old, who was best known for his iconic role as Chandler Bing in the TV show Friends, was found unresponsive by his assistant. A number of Perry's co-stars have taken to social media to pay their respects to the actor. Joining me now is entertainment reporter Brian Balthazar. Good morning to you. Tell us how Hollywood and really the whole entertainment world has reacted to the sad passing of Matthew Perry.
I think the only word you can use is heartbroken. I think, we've known for a long time about his struggles. He's been very open about it, especially in his recent book. So we've known that there have been struggles, but to die at such a young age, and it's heartbreaking. Many of them talking about what an incredible talent he was, and the irony of the fact that this is a man who made so many of us happy, made so many of us laugh, but he was a tortured soul in many ways. So the co-creators of the show, they made a statement saying, this is the one where our hearts are broken, mirroring the way they titled the series. Every episode started with the one, and this is the one where their hearts are broken. As you mentioned in many of your earlier reports, celebrities from all different areas of the community are just devastated, really.
We haven't heard from the Friends cast, though, yet, have we? Why do you think that is?
You know, it's true. And I think it's because they were so much a unit. They were a family. And I think they're probably gathering together, gathering their thoughts to speak out together on that. You know, it's even evidenced by the fact that when they negotiated their contracts, when they were first getting really famous, they did it as a group so they could be unified. And I think they want to keep that unity going. I think, you know, this has got to be devastating for them, and they have to take a moment to process. But I'm sure we'll hear from them in a really heartfelt way in the days to come as a group.
Brian, he made this Instagram post about a week before he died, sitting in the pool. In light of what we know now, that was kind of eerie, wasn't it?
It is eerie, you know. It's obviously, we know now that he drowned in a hot tub, and while we know there's no foul play and there's no physical evidence of drugs on the scene, you know, it's obviously we have our reasons to wonder what happened when we know the struggles that he had, and to drown in a hot tub and then to see a picture on his Instagram feed like that is heartbreaking and devastating and ironic and eerie, as you said.
He said in his book that he released, which has obviously got so much publicity in the last year, if I died, it would shock people, but it wouldn't surprise anyone. That is really sad this morning.
Exactly. You know, it's that kind of eerie foreshadowing. Two examples that you've just listed there that makes this especially heartbreaking. And he wanted his legacy to be more than just about this series and its popularity. He wanted it to be about his outreach. That's what the goal of the book was. And I think we're seeing it right here. We're going to see that this is going to impact people and hopefully help some people. And hopefully they'll see some warning signs for themselves if needed, or loved ones, and try and get the help for them or others if needed.
Yeah, I really think you're right. Do you think we'll see specials? Do you think we'll see people going back to watching Friends and reuniting with the show?
I think we probably are already seeing that on streaming services, you know, that this is a way to reminisce and think about better times in many respects. And I think that you'll see a surge in the popularity and the trending of this show and some of his other work. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is a very sad day, though, isn't it? They were huge in their day. Thank you very much, Brian.
Well, more on our top story, and Hollywood remains in shock this morning following the sudden death of Matthew Perry. The 54-year-old's body was found by his assistant at his LA home on Saturday local time.
Yeah, a number of A-listers have paid their respects to the actor, posting tributes to social media. Perry is best known, of course, for playing Chandler Bing on the hit sitcom Friends. For more, we're joined by American entertainment blogger Perez Hilton. Good morning to you. Obviously a shock right around the world. I was trying to explain to my 18-year-old son yesterday how big they were. This was probably the biggest show in the world at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it ran successfully for almost an entire decade, 9 to 10 years. You know, TV shows don't get the ratings that Friends used to. But what's amazing is maybe your 18-year-old is a little too young, but the show really spanned generations. And I think that's why it was so impactful then. And so many people now are feeling overcome with sorrow at the tragic passing of Matthew Perry.
Off the set, Perez, he rode a roller coaster, didn't he?
Yeah, you know, when he released his memoir about a year ago, he wrote that he should have been dead. He also foreshadowed his passing, saying that when he did die, if he died suddenly, that people would be shocked, but they wouldn't be surprised. He spoke very candidly in that memoir and in interviews about his struggles with addiction, and they were very severe. And right now, anything that the media or fans are doing is just speculation because we don't have an apparent cause of death at this moment. I'm sure we'll know more when an autopsy is completed.
Yeah, exactly. They're saying prescription drugs were in his house. I mean, he was 54. I can't imagine many 54-year-olds who would not have prescription drugs in their house. So it is complete speculation at this moment in time. In his book, he also talked about issues with his mother.
Yeah, but, you know, his family did show up to his house last night, and hopefully you guys did not run that footage. I've seen outlets broadcasting that, and it makes me just heartbroken to have to imagine the mother, his stepfather, who's a journalist, his father having to deal with the sudden loss of their son, and then all of these paparazzo cameras in their faces. I wish for them space and time to grieve. Having to bury a child is, as a father, something that I pray I never have to experience.
His friends, co-stars, we haven't heard from them just yet. Will we?
I expect that they will release a statement as a group. They kind of were the exception to the rule and still are. Oftentimes in showbiz on sitcoms, successful shows, the lead actor makes a lot more money than the other actors. And with Friends, Courtney Cox was already an established actor before the show. She probably got paid more than the rest of the cast for the first season. But as the years went on, they negotiated, quote, favored nations as a collective. So they each made the same. And they've really been this very strong unit and bond that we saw together for the last time, sadly, a couple of years ago when they did this reunion special. So I expect them to release a statement and have it be all of them and release it simultaneously across their social accounts.
Yeah, it's going to be a special tribute, no doubt. Perez, thank you.